Hi, I'm Jen Hand, founder of JennHand.com, your go-to resource for finding your freedom around food, body image, weight, and eating. And today we are delving into the subject of how to eat like a normal person. And I know we've all had that friend, that sister, that person in our lives where we wonder, how can they eat 3 bites of cake and leave it on the table? How can they just not want to shovel their entire plate into their face and leave the last few bites? And if you're obsessed with dieting and binging and you're kind of caught in this crazy, all over the board relationship with food, it's so easy to look at someone and just wonder, like, how the heck do they not think about it? And I remember one of my close friends back in high school who really just was so normal around food, and it struck me as so out of the norm for me and out of the ordinary and just completely out of my realm, because here I was using diet pills, not eating, and then binging, and then just being all over the place with food. And she just ate when she was hungry. She didn't think about food. She didn't obsess over it. She just had a relationship with food that I just couldn't wrap my mind around, and was very thin and just kind of didn't think about food like how I was thinking about it. And I always wondered, how do you do that? So I thought we'd talk about 4 things today, 4 principles, if you want to call them that, of people who quote unquote eat normally. So the first is, normal eaters eat when they're hungry and stop when they're full. And this is such a huge one for people who are all over the board with eating, because we feel like if we let ourselves eat when we're hungry and stop when we're full, and kind of eat what we want, we're just going to shit's going to hit the fan, and we're going to eat everything in sight, and we're going to wake up and gain 100 pounds. And it's really, really not true, because as you start to trust your body, start to tune into those signals, and start to find out what hunger means for you, you really start to get into a very natural rhythm of eating. And normal eaters don't plan excessively. So of course there's some planning in your snacks and your food. If you're going to work, if you have something that you need to base your meals around. But normal eaters don't think, okay, it's January 1st, I am going to eat chicken and rice and vegetables for the next 3 months, no carbs, I'm not going to eat after 7. And they don't have these ideas of what they should be eating and follow them for days, weeks, and months. So they have a much more natural rhythm of their hunger levels and listening to their body. So the second thing is focusing on other things between meals. So normal eaters really are not eating breakfast and then thinking about, their binge after lunch, or what snacks they can sneak in during their workday, or once they get home, how they can raid the pantry. Normal eaters just don't excessively compulsively think about all these things between meals, and as soon as they're done breakfast, oh my gosh, I can't wait to eat lunch, and here's what I'm going to eat, and I really want cookies, but I'm not going to have cookies, but I should eat that salad. They don't have these conversations in their head. So allowing yourself to start to focus and get engaged in the other things. What are you doing after work? What's something fun you can do in your lunch break? What can you plan for the weekend? So starting to really engage in life. And I talked about this in my last blog, The Key to Lasting Weight Loss, is having that interest in focusing on other things besides your food during the day. So the third thing about normal eaters is that they don't beat themselves up. And I know this is so common for those of us who have struggled with food, because we eat a cookie, 10 cookies, 20 cookies, and it's like we get into this cycle of self-hatred and self-criticism, and looking at our stomach to see how fat it is, and planning our gym workout for the next day of running 7 miles. And it's like this harsh mind game of being so critical of ourselves and berating ourselves so much. And really, when you have a healthy relationship with food, you just don't beat yourself up, and you approach your body in a loving, compassionate way. And I do remember, back in high school, just crazy body image issues, being too fat, being too thin, just hating my body. And I remember my friend who was the normal eater just having just that innate body confidence and having that just really sense of self and being who she was, and not criticizing her body for every single thing that she didn't like about it. And I think that's a really, really key component, is to let it slide and let it be okay when you do eat an extra bowl of ice cream, an extra 3 pieces of cake, or even overeat at a meal. I mean, having that be okay and really be okay, and starting to really kind of talk yourself down and just say, no, I know I'm not going to gain 17 pounds just because I ate 15 cookies, and kind of talking yourself down into that more loving, compassionate way and approach. And the fourth thing that normal eaters do is they use coping mechanisms other than food. And this is also huge, because one of the biggest themes in struggling to find that peace in your eating and peace in how you feel about your body is not being able to deal with all the emotions and all the life happenings that come up, because we're so used to dealing with it by going to the food. And yes, it does take practice. You're not going to just, if you've been using food for so long, you're not just going to overnight just develop a new coping mechanism, but starting to practice to find ways that you can cope with sadness, with frustration, with loneliness, with, stress, all of these things that we just go to food and not even realize it. We might just have had a hard day and we want to just, get into that ice cream, go into that box of Oreos. And really normal eaters have healthy ways that they deal with their emotions, that they deal with the things in their lives without going into the food. So those are the 4 ways that normal eaters, how they approach food and how they approach having a healthy, positive relationship with food. And I think, as you start to practice and as you start to take steps, whether that's starting to tune into your hunger or starting to find other coping mechanisms, it really, really is going to help set you on that path towards normal eating. And I put normal in quotes because, what is normal these days? I think there's normal is all over the board, but you know what I mean in terms of a healthy relationship with food. You're not obsessing over it all the time and thinking about it and losing those same 10, 20, 30 pounds over and over again. You're really viewing yourself in a positive manner and viewing your body in a way that's healthy, in a way that feels good, and eating in a way that feels good. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me which step resonates most with you and how you can start to incorporate it into your life. So just share in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.